As President Trump walks back tariffs on most products from Mexico and Canada again, Canada says retaliatory tariffs will stay in place until that pause is permanent. CNN's John King went to visit our northern neighbors as part of his All Over the Map series to hear what the Canadians think about the president and his tariffs.
Canada is firing back, not in the boardroom or in Parliament, but in grocery stores and living rooms across the country. On June 6, 2025, millions of ordinary Canadians are boycotting U.S. products, not as a protest on social media, but as a nationwide economic revolt. From food to fashion, streaming to fast food and fuel, American-made goods are being systematically rejected by consumers. This isn't symbolic. This is historic. This isn't a fringe movement. I haven't bought any American stuff in 2 weeks, says a Canadian resident living just minutes from the U.S. border. His voice isn't angry. It's steady, resolved. But his decision is now echoed by millions. This isn't about political statements or protest signs. It's happening in real time. Recent nationwide polls paint a clear picture. More than half of Canadian consumers are deliberately boycotting American-made products. Nearly 65% now avoid US-based retailers like Walmart, Amazon, and Costco wherever possible. A solid 75% say they choose Canadian alternatives, even when it costs them more. They're not just making purchases, they're making a point. What began as quiet frustration has now turned into a powerful, coordinated stand, an economic protest disguised as everyday behavior. It's not loud, it's not viral, but it's everywhere. This is a new kind of resistance, driven not by politics but by principle, and it's happening across provinces, across income levels, and across party lines. From downtown Toronto to small towns in Saskatchewan, people who've never protested anything before are now voting with their wallets. And this time, they're not backing down. This movement didn't erupt overnight. It was ignited like a fuse when President Trump imposed sweeping tariffs, 25% on most Canadian exports and a staggering 50% on steel and aluminum. Canada didn't wait. Within days, it hit back with retaliatory tariffs, 25% on more than $40 billion worth of U.S. products. A trade war was born. Headlines screamed. Officials scrambled. But what blindsided everyone in Ottawa, Washington, and Wall Street wasn't the policy battle. The real shock came from millions of Canadians quietly turning their backs, not just on specific goods, but on entire industries. With no speeches, no marches, and no hashtags, they simply stopped buying. This isn't just an economic decision, it's personal. It's fueled by something deeper. A growing resentment over decades of unequal treatment, a quiet frustration that Canada's voice has been ignored, its loyalty taken for granted. Now, Canadians are saying what they've felt for years, not with words, but with receipts. This isn't just about tariffs anymore. It's about respect and the lack of it. In Quebec, the boycott went from quiet resistance to official policy. The provincial government took a bold step, banning American alcohol from state-run liquor stores. Overnight, shelves were cleared. No Jack Daniels, no Jim Beam, no Tennessee bourbon. Just empty space where bestsellers used to be. Canadian distillers moved fast. Sales spiked. Homegrown brands surged into the spotlight, finally getting the shelf space and attention they'd long been denied. The impact was immediate. Brown-Forman, the American giant behind Jack Daniels, saw its exports plunge. Caught off guard by a market it once counted on, and it didn't stop at liquor. Supermarkets rolled out bright red Buy Canadian tags on cheeses, meats, and produce. Local farmers and processors saw a sudden boost. Consumers didn't blink at higher prices because this wasn't about savings anymore. It was about standing for something. Now, over 70% of Canadians say they're cutting back on U.S. grocery goods, many refusing to cross the aisle even for old favorites. This isn't a temporary shift. It's a statement made 3 times a day at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. American fast food giants are now squarely in the crosshairs. Across Canada, customers are quietly but powerfully turning away from familiar logos. McDonald's, Starbucks, KFC, all seeing foot traffic drop. Recent surveys show over 30% of Canadians are actively boycotting these American chains. Meanwhile, Canadian staples like Tim Hortons and Boston Pizza are leaning in, launching bold, unapologetic campaigns. Proudly brewed in Canada, no tariffs attached. But it's not just about burgers and coffee. The backlash has reached digital borders, once part of everyday life, are now targets of nationalist consumer pushback. Nearly 36% of Quebec residents say they've either canceled or plan to cancel their subscriptions to US-based platforms. Netflix, Disney+, Spotify, services that once seemed untouchable, are now seen as symbols of an imbalanced relationship. For many Canadians, this isn't just economic retaliation, it's a cultural reckoning, and it's hitting America where it never expected, in daily choices, screens, and supper tables. Even tech titans aren't immune. Amazon, once the go-to for fast, easy shopping, is now under intense scrutiny in Canada. A new Ledger survey paints a sharp picture. Over 55% of Canadians say they're cutting back on Amazon purchases. Nearly 2/3 are actively avoiding American products online altogether. Amazon Canada is scrambling to respond, spotlighting local sellers, boosting Made in Canada tags, and fast-tracking domestic fulfillment. But for many, it's too little, too late. What was once a tool of convenience has become, for some Canadians, a symbol of one-sided dependence, a daily reminder of their country's economic vulnerability. And the message is clear. Convenience no longer outweighs principle. The consumer boycott has even crossed borders. US-bound travel from Canada has dropped 15%. People are canceling vacation plans to Florida, California, and New York, not for cost or health, but intentional protest. Billboards near Toronto Pearson Airport read, "Spend here, not there." Domestic tourism is thriving, with both governments and businesses offering rebates for patriotic travel in Canada. This movement isn't just consumer-driven, it's becoming institutional. US food conglomerates are sending warning letters to investors. Walmart Canada is accelerating stock changes to Canadian brands. Streaming platforms are reviewing pricing strategy. Airlines are lobbying both Ottawa and Washington for relief. MP Charlie Angus encouraged widespread boycotts of Amazon and Netflix. Conservative MPs are pushing for an audit of US companies with Canadian government contracts. Provinces are proposing mandatory country of origin labels. Consumer agencies are looking into tariff evasion by third-party sellers. Public institutions are auditing their US supply chains. This is unprecedented unity in a country often divided by language, region, and politics. From Quebec to Alberta, conservatives and liberals, urban and rural, Canadians are on the same page. Over 80% agree US tariffs negatively affect their lives. Nearly 70% are increasing purchases of Canadian-made goods. A stunning 90% plus support ongoing boycotts until US policy changes. This is no longer protest, it's a cultural shift. So what does this mean for US brands? Canada is no longer just another market. It's a nation voting with its shopping cart. For Canadians, this is a moment of economic independence and an opportunity to reinforce homegrown industries. If this case fascinates you, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Tell us, which boycott surprised you most? Drop your thoughts below, because right now, Canada isn't just fighting back. It's showing the world that consumer power can shape policy.